Hi everybody, I'm Diana Pilatus. You may know me, I was on our news for 20 years here in Rochester. And then we also did a show called the CEO Hour, which I know some of you from that show with Bruce Peters. And now I have my own company. I'm a new entrepreneur, so I'm glad to be amongst this great synergy here, Pilatus Media Communications. And I'm honored to be here to interview Paul Travers, who is the CEO, founder, president, and CTO of Vuzix. And you guys know as entrepreneurs that you wear many hats. So we're going to see how Paul does that. And we're also going to find out why Intel, in case you didn't know this, just invested $25 million in Vuzix. Who knew that? It's awesome, isn't it?
Yay, Vuzix.
So Paul, let's start at the beginning. You were born.
First of all, our news.
Yes.
I knew I've seen you before.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've been gone for about 6 years already, so yeah. But
Well, I've been in Rochester for long years, so I have seen you many times.
That's where we've known each
past.
other. I remember doing a story many years ago on one of the other 4 companies he's had. So tell us, where did it all begin? Like so many stories, it began at Eastman Kodak, didn't it?
It did, actually. I worked for them for 5 years, and they were great years. Eastman Kodak, as I'm sure everybody knows, fantastic company, good to their employees, but it was pretty frustrating working there. You'd build some really cool stuff, and they wouldn't bring it to market, and I guess the reason was the fear of hurting their film business.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of a type A personality. You work weekends, you know, all these things to make it happen, and then the program would end up canceled. And so after 5 years of that, I was frustrated. So I left, my youngest one. She was born that same year.
Oh my.
And my father-in-law was like, "What, are you out of your mind? You're going to leave the mothership and go start a company in your basement," right?
So basement.
In the basement, right? We were making sound cards in Henrietta. And at the time, the IBM PC just had a little beep click speaker built into it. And the computer system I had in my basement had a 10 megabyte hard drive on it. It was a big hard drive at the time. Megabytes, hard to believe. My, how things have changed.
Yes.
Yeah, so I built this sound card company, and I was fortunate through the process to partner with a company on the West Coast, actually out of Canada, called Advanced Gravis.
Okay.
They were making joysticks. In fact, they were the #1 supplier of joysticks on the planet. And for those of you starting companies, one way to fund it is through relationships with partners. And so I partnered with Advanced Gravis. We ended up bringing a wavetable synthesis to the PC. Ultimately, I sold that business to Gravis, and I partnered with them and licensed all of that technology to a firm called Advanced Micro Devices, which many of you probably know is one of Intel's biggest competitors. They ultimately built it into the motherboard. We had silicon chips built. There were multiple versions of it was called the ultrasound at the time. I know that sounds like a medical thing, but it did have ultrasound.
Ultrasound.
Wavetable synthesis base. And so ultimately we licensed that to Advanced Micro Devices. My shareholders were all pretty happy. And then I moved on to another business. And in fact, in my first 3 years or so of leaving Eastman Kodak, myself and partners in crime, my wife, we built and sold 2 companies. So I was like, oh, this stuff's easy. Everybody should be an entrepreneur, but the reality of it is the third business that I started, well,
Forte, right?
Forte Technologies. It was making virtual reality head-mounted displays. In fact, today, Oculus, a lot of people in here probably have heard of that company. They got purchased by Facebook for $2.3 billion. Oh. Right? In what I was making back then in 1993 or 2 maybe, was very close to an Oculus, only it included all kinds of gizmos, cyber pucks that you could walk around inside the environment. It didn't have the resolution of the displays that we have today. And that was fundamentally the difference between Oculus and what Vuzix was doing then. Excuse me. Forte Technologies then, right, yes.
Yes.
So we built that business. I partnered with, again, another partnership, and this is where it can show you how sometimes it doesn't always work out that well. Although I absolutely adore Kopin Corporation, they're a partner with Vuzix today. They invested in Vuzix, excuse me. They invested in Forte Technologies. And you know, at the time they put in a fair amount of money. I think they probably put in 10 or 12 million bucks.
Wow.
And in our first quarter, we sold $5 million worth of product. And we're off to the races, and it was all exciting. And part of the reason why we took the investment from Copen is we knew we needed access to next generation displays. Because these things, I don't know if you all know what Vuzix makes, but you see this guy's wearing something. It's not a mask. When you look inside this thing, you see this great big image out in front of you like you're sitting in the front row of a theater or an IMAX system. And it has tracking sensors built into it. And what that means is when you turn your head and look around, literally, if you have a 3D scene, it looks like you're looking inside the 3D scene. So it's stepping inside a computer-generated world kind of a thing. So we had all of that in the VFX1, but we had low-resolution, cheap displays that were in the back of camcorders from companies like Sony. And at the time, long years ago, it's 180,000 pixels.
Oh.
Not a lot of pixels, right? I mean, today we're talking megapixels on everything.
So that was the technology then. That's what was available.
The technology of the day. We were the first company actually to bring a consumer head-mounted display to market. And it was maybe, you know, $400 or $500, something like that. Heretofore, $50,000 for the kinds of things that we had. They might have been slightly higher resolution, but very, very expensive. So anyway, this partnership with Copen, they had a majority interest in the company. And we didn't have access to next generation displays, so we were kind of stuck in the water. And unfortunately, that put us in a position to where it was difficult to pay the bills. Most of our vendors made out really well with Vuzix, Forte, through that process. But in the end, that company was wound down, and I bought it back in 1997 to start Vuzix.
Vuzix, okay.
And you know, the wind down process and everything, there was a difference of opinion really on what we should be doing. And maybe as you look back, it was difficult to know exactly what we should have been doing because we didn't have the next generation displays. Interesting to note that in 2004, Copen finally came out with a color display that could be used in a virtual reality head mount style system. So we were really quite a bit ahead of the game.
Yes, you were talking about 97, right?
Yes,
97 and
yes.
2004.
And this was the gizmo that we were making at the time. In this particular case, you can see these folks, they're all got kind of different colored ones. People would decorate them like after their favorite video game they like to play. So they literally, you know, some of them would look like Indian games. There was a lot of first-person shooters at the time. The one you see there looks like it's a tank. It was a tank game that guy was into. And so it was kind of cool. We had an amazing following of people that really wanted to be part of this virtual reality thing. I think that's always been the case. VR is fascinating. The idea of literally stepping into a computer-generated world and going places that you just can't go in reality, inside a nuclear reactor and see it running. You know, those kinds of things. So, yep. And so in 97, we bought that company back and we started Vuzix.
Okay.
And between 97, between then and actually even just until a few years ago, people were making all kinds of crazy wearable gizmos like these. Some of these are a joke, but some of these are actually things people built and tried to use to simulate wearable technology. It's quite amazing, actually.
So did the Forte, bless you, did the Forte headgear go away? I mean, when you made it Vuzix, those were not available anymore, right? The virtual
No,
reality?
actually, we came out with a product called the VFX 3D at
Okay.
Vuzix.
Okay.
What happened was there were some clever people that took the really poor displays that were available and figured out how to make them twice the resolution. So we rebuilt the product. You need revenues. I've got an offer, by the way, if you can pay the bills by selling stuff, it's the best way to go.
Most of us turn to eBay or a garage sale. That's kind of...
Yes, well, when you're running a company, cash flow, especially a small company, you can go do balance sheets and play all kinds of games on potential values. None of that really matters. Because if you can't keep the doors open, it all goes to zero. So it's about cash flow. That's really what it's about.
How did you get through those tough times at Forte? You were ready to
Yeah,
take off, right?
Yes. Well, we were fortunate in my history with these previous companies that I had that I was able to keep the team together, restart as Vuzix was called. Actually, we went through 3 or 4 different names. An acquisition company, and then there's something else, and then there's something else. And then a very large company was upset that we chose this name called Acuity, so Believe it or not, they paid us to change it. Ta-da! Vuzix.
Vuzix.
Right. And, so getting through all of that, we, at the outset of the company, we said, look, where can we go where wearable technology means the most today? And it was the defense markets. So we were fortunate. We had a great relationship with Kopin Corporation still. In fact, they're shareholders today still. They supported us. We built this electronics engine that went into thermal weapon sights, the back end. If you know how a thermal night vision system works, there's a digital camera in the front, and in the back end there's kind of this viewfinder that you look into that allows you to see as if you're kind of literally looking digitally through the scope. So we built these electronics that went in the backside of that, and we became the #1 supplier. Our electronics were like 300 milliwatts. Competing products were 6 watts. And that's a big difference, right? And when you run things on batteries, believe me, man, that won the day for us. So we sold a whole bunch of those, maybe 200,000-300,000 of them.
So this was for training for the military.
It went into the light, medium, and heavy thermal weapon sights. So if you think about Afghanistan, Iraq, and all these guys, how good they are, we own the night kind of stuff. It was deployed in real gizmos.
Yeah.
So, interestingly enough, the U.S. military is also the ultimate wearable tech group of guys. If you think about a special forces guy, right? He's down front. He's got enough gear that he could land aircraft. He's literally got that much stuff with him, maybe 200 or 300 pounds worth of stuff. And so the government came to us and said, look, we know you guys made these really cool virtual reality gizmos. So can you help us replace the laptop display screens that these guys carry and a bunch of other display systems with a pair of glasses? And in fact, Paul, what we really want here is something that gets us through the Oakley gate. It's literally their term. I want a pair of Oakley sunglasses. I want you to put them on. I want them to be see-through. I don't want to open up my laptop and light up like a Christmas tree at night. I want to get rid of all that huge power consumption, and I want to look cool. And if I can do that, they're like every military guy would buy a pair of these things, kind of a thing. So we embarked on trying to do that. Since then to today, the effort at Vuzix has been, how do we get to the point to where these things really look like sunglasses?
And?
How do you do it?
Are you there?
Yeah,
Is this what you have here?
Yeah, we're very close. But before we get to the new toys, we went through a lot at Vuzix to stay in business. We got a big contract for the U.S. government. They wanted, so we were making these other wearable displays. We called them tactical displays. And the Special Forces guys also use those. And we won a contract to, I think it was like 5,000 systems, but they were in lots, 1,500 at a bop. And we got the first order, we delivered against the first order, we needed capital in order to continue to grow. So we took some money from a fund in New York City. And when you take debt money from a fund in New York City, they get very serious about what happens to their money. So we had about...
Really?
Yes. There's many lessons to be learned by this too, but when you need access to the capital to grow the business, so we did the transaction, and they weren't bad guys to work with, actually. However, when the second order got canceled, and you're off covenant with the money, things change pretty seriously. Covenants are, okay guys, you can have the money, you're gonna pay it back XYZ way, and you're gonna run the business at least this good. You're gonna hit these benchmarks, and those are covenants. And if you don't hit those, they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're breaking the rules here, guys. You got to do something different here. And so they got more serious, and they put another person on the board with us. And before you know it, their position was, look, we really like your business and stuff, Paul, but we'd like to get paid back, kind of a thing. Well, when you borrow $4 million, that's a lot of money to have to pay back, right? So being clever folks, we decided to sell a portion of our business. And so the defense division, we sold to a firm, it's a local firm now called 615, and they're still a partner with Vuzix today. They sell our products. They also compete with us in some areas. So the defense products, Vuzix no longer manufactures. However, everything else, the entire world, the consumer marketplace, the medical, the industrial markets, they all belong to Vuzix. So we sold that division. We got enough money so that we could regroup and move forward on our next generation products at the company. Because the earlier products, remember we started with 180,000 pixels? The products that we sold through 2000, maybe just even 2.5 years ago, were all really that low definition kind of stuff. So they weren't, you know, all that exciting. Although there's a large number of people that love the things. When you can take an iPhone or an iPod, plug it in, no batteries required, and watch a big screen movie, even if it is a little low resolution, compared to some of those earlier handheld devices that had a 1-inch screen on them, it was great. So we built a business, and every year we'd go to CES, we'd win another award. And in fact, from 2005 until just even this last year, we've yet to lose an award. In fact, we won 4 awards for our products that we've delivered this year because they keep getting cooler and more amazing. So,
higher resolution.
Higher resolution. In fact, the dollars that we received from the sale helped take care of our partners down in New York City, and they were smiling, and they're still shareholders of Vuzix today, in point of fact. And so we regrouped HD products, and we came out with, in 2013, our first pair of smart glasses. Remember I said we had a 10 megabyte hard drive in my computer in the basement? This thing has a 32 gigabytes in something literal that you can wear on the frame of a pair of glasses. And what's cool about these is not only is it high res, although it's higher res than the one that we had when we first started, it's got a CPU built into it, so it runs Android. And in point of fact, anything that you have in your cell phone, this guy can do, minus the cellular radios. So you can't make a phone call with it unless you're Bluetooth connected to your phone.
Which is probably going to happen someday, soon.
Yeah, well, the cellular component of it will be in some of our next generation products. Today, though, this was designed for the enterprise markets. Our feelings were that I mean, okay, it's cool if you're in a warehouse, if you're like, you know, working someplace, but it's not really a fashion statement, to say the least, right? But that said, when you, in fact, I think I may even have a video here.
Look, a video.
Yeah.
Yay.
So before I get to the video,
Okay.
we came out with these in 2014. Really, we started shipping at the beginning of the year. We've shipped thousands of them since then. They're in, if you look at the Fortune 100 list of companies, 40 of them have our glasses. So you can take that as a statistical sample of, you know, the rest of the companies that are in the enterprise space. And the bulk of it is enterprise and medical. People doing warehousing applications. Today, when you're in a warehouse, you have a barcode scanner in one hand and maybe a pad in the other hand, and you're checking off what you did and you're doing the barcode scanner. This is a wearable barcode scanner, so you no longer have to do any of that stuff. And I'm going to show you a video here in a few minutes of how DHL used that technology in some of their warehouses. They're one of many companies today that are using these glasses, as you can see from this list here. And if you're interested, I can share with you a pile of the kinds of applications that are going on around it. And I'm not going to do this video really quickly here. Hold on. Here we go. So DHL. The way Vuzix sells this product, too, is also wonderful. We actually don't have a large sales force. We have a handful of guys that really understand this product well. If you think about it, this product is a computer, so you need software put into it in order for it to be really useful. There's a basic operating system in it. You can run applications, augmented reality stuff. I can, you know, put a dinosaur standing on the floor over here when I look through the glasses. So the way this works, right, is you put this thing on, and then what you see when you look inside of here is like holding your cell phone out in space in front of you like this. So it's a hands-free wearable computing device. You saw those things those guys were wearing? Those all non-hands-free giant things. That's all been reduced down to something this small. So you look inside of this, and then what's really neat is right to the right of it, looking out, is a multi-megapixel digital camera, HD camera. So the processor that's running here can pull in the video feed, modify it, put stuff in it. An example, maybe I could look down here at the floor and you see a picture of the floor, but what I see here in the glasses is a picture of the floor with a dinosaur standing on it, doing a little jig or something. Or I'm in a warehouse and I look at a box, it scans the barcode, and it can literally open the box without having to open the box to tell you what's inside the box, kinds of stuff. So it's a very powerful little tool. We have people that are using them for post-acute care facilities. Put the glasses on, you've got the heart rate monitor hooked up to a patient that has been in the emergency room, but now they're back in this post-acute care facility. he's having a problem. Do you put him back in the emergency truck and spend all that money? What they're doing now is they put the glasses on, they hook the heart rate monitor up. A physician at the hospital can literally be as if he's standing where that person is, that's the technician that's trying to help this person, and say, no, 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 Frank, we don't need to have a hospital visit here. Just give the person an aspirin. Call me in the morning. Or get him on a truck. And out of 100 used to be every single trip to the emergency room, it's gone down to about 30, and it's saved a bunch of lives doing that sort of stuff already. It's that kind of really cool stuff. Yes, thank you. It's that kind of really cool stuff. And you know, for us, in the enterprise space, this is really happening, and it's off to a great start. And this is an example of what it's like in a warehouse. You'll see they start with this barcode scanning idea first, and then they move to wearing a pair of our glasses. What the guy does, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, that's the view that he sees through the glasses. One of the first things he does is he badges in, and the glasses say, hey, Frank. It's not Frank, I can't pronounce the guy's name. He's someplace in the Netherlands, I believe.
Frank.
Yes, Frank. Welcome to work.
Yes.
We're going to go pick. And then you'll notice he'll scan the barcode that's on the cart he's picking with. And then I think the rest of it just falls into place.
Technology has always played an integral part in further improving warehouse operations. With the rise of augmented reality, we're about to take a leap ahead. DHL and Ricoh have piloted vision picking to drive the next wave of supply chain innovation that simplifies operations.
Vision picking is essentially equipping pickers with smart glasses that enable complete hands-free order picking. Today, we're using a mix of handheld scanners and a paper pick list, but we think we can make this process leaner and also more user-friendly by taking a paper and hands-free approach.
Vision picking can greatly increase productivity, reduce errors, and support our employees in their daily work. To find the best solution, we teamed up with Ubimax, the leading experts on wearable computing. Their vision picking solution is the most mature and flexible on the market, and we're easily able to tailor this to our environment and deploy it on the Vuzix and Google glasses.
Now the order picker can easily log in and begin picking by scanning the next available trolley. Using Ubimax's innovative user interface, task information is displayed clearly in front of his eyes. The trolley is also displayed graphically, so that the picker sees instantly what needs to go where. This could provide a much faster, more accurate, and user-friendly approach to order picking compared to standard paper pick lists and handheld scanners. Our first pilot proved a significant performance increase due to time efficiency and error reduction. It also received high scores from the pickers regarding user acceptance and usability.
Here at Ricoh, we're always looking to further improve our processes and implement new technologies into our warehouse. We are proud to have DHL as our innovation partner to jointly test this together.
This is just the first step in our innovation journey. In the future, we see augmented reality also playing a role in other parts of the supply chain. We look forward to continuing to bring innovation to our customers.
Yeah, so they picked 24,000 packages in 3 weeks, and it was a 25% improvement in efficiency using the glasses over the way they normally do it.
No, it says Ricoh, and it said another company.
DHL, Ricoh, and Ubimax.
Okay.
So I was getting to that, thank you.
Okay.
The way we sell our products is not Vuzix's sales team going to each one of these major accounts to try to convince them to do warehouse picking. We have partners, value-added resellers, who are writing the software.
Oh, okay.
This is a gizmo, like I said, that if you put something in it, it can do things. In this particular case, that software was written by Ubimax, custom for DHL and Ricoh. And the Ubimax team is the one that does all the sales support, et cetera. But we're doing the same thing with SAP. SAP, 100,000 customer company. They're one of the largest cloud-based. If you run a company and you have a warehouse, you probably run SAP. They'd love to hear me say that. But it's used by everybody, practically speaking. And they have 2 applications. One of them is this warehousing application. And another one I'm going to show you the video of here in just a minute. It's a subset of this. This is where they really want to go. And this is going to wrap up for me here, going right back down to how do you get the sunglasses and do the kinds of things that this next video is. When you think about it, SAP has as many as 17,000 salespeople. And now they just went live with these 2 applications on their app store. And their sales teams are finally going out to try to bring them to the world. So it's an exciting place to be, having SAP, UbiMax. There's a list of companies like that. APX Labs, XOI, the guys over at Pristine. These are all companies that are building businesses around Vuzix's smart glasses. So it's a great way to sell a product. Our job is just to make sure we're delivering what they need. And so we spend an awful lot of time. We're still at Rev 1, but this thing has gone through a lot of changes from its first debut. It's 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 on the smart glasses themselves. So just to roll in really quickly here, SAP built this application. This piece of content here was a concept for where they really want to be. And one of the things you're going to notice, it's not a little window up in the right-hand corner. In this particular case, the way they portray it in the scene is the whole space is augmented in front of you. Augmented. It's got computer-generated information that's not real. Arrows on the floor telling you how to get through the facility. It tells you the numbers to get to the unlocks for the doors. When they get halfway to the back side of the facility, so this is about a football game that the lights go out at. Remember the big
Yes.
Super Bowl? So SAP, the NFL runs SAP, so they let them use one of the stadiums to do this. And so they send in this guy because the lights go out. And he gets him all the way through the facility. He opens the panel. It shows him how to fix the part he's got to replace. And then in the end, he does this video call thing, which is a lot like the concept we were just describing with the post-acute care, where you can do telepresence, sort of a thing, to get help. And I'll let it.
Job has started.
Directions.
Walk 50 feet, then turn right. Warning, confined space. Panel located.
This would be, he was in the dark at this point.
Yeah, the lights are out in the stadium. I'm sorry, I cut and paste. This was like
Okay,
a
so- but-
really
okay.
long video.
Yes,
so
that's okay.
it's in
So he's-
pieces. So you can see he's looking at this panel here, and all that stuff you see, the blue highlights and the words and none of that stuff is real. That's what he's seeing through the glasses overlaid on the real world. Wow. And the lights just came on. Woohoo!
Woo.
Call Phil.
Calling Phil.
Yeah, this doesn't seem quite right.
Let me take a look. I'll take you through. Hit the relay button.
Okay.
Then 7.
So Phil is seeing exactly what he's seeing because the camera is running, and he's got this kind of first-person view of what he's trying to do.
Wow.
So that's really where we're going. And we built this system for the U.S. defense markets that literally allows a JTAC to put the glasses on and look down, and if there's a truck in the field that they're trying to get rid of because maybe it's got a improvised device in it or something like that, the drone's flying overhead, when he looks, there's a circle around the truck through our glasses that kind of help identify and make sure they're shooting the right truck. And if they pick a bigger weapon from the drone, the circle gets bigger so they can estimate the size of the shrapnel that might be ejected from the bomb, etc. So then it comes to where are we really going next? It's exciting times at Vuzix.
I remember those.
We're convinced that this is just the beginnings of this industry. I do believe Vuzix is one of the leaders in the enterprise space. Google is even sending their customers and partners to Vuzix because some of the stuff that you saw previously, if you run that in Google Glass, it's really CPU intensive. You're streaming video by way of example, right? And as much as 20 minutes in, the Google Glass product will say, hey, I got to take a break, I'm overheating, kind of stuff. And there's no autofocus cameras in Google Glass, so when you're doing barcode scanners, you gotta get the barcode just in the right place. And so we're fortunate that, number one, we focused on enterprise. Number two, we got it right for enterprise. And number three, I think Google Glass is an amazing product, but you still stand out in a crowd when you're wearing it. What Google did was they took the Oculus Rift, which is this guy right over here. That's the one for $2.3 billion. Oh. I really still say the same thing, really. But it's exciting. It shows you the potential that this industry has. What Google did was, instead of having a 5-inch display and great big optics, they cut out a small portion of the 5-inch display. In fact, I think they use a 0.24-inch display on the thing. And then they took a smaller portion of the optics. There's multiple versions. They're refractive or reflective optics, all techie terms to mean conventional stuff that Copernicus was using to look at planets with, probably. I'm not even sure I got the right guy there.
No, you're good.
Am I good? Just lucky. So it's great. The cell phone, when it first came out, was the same way. A lot of people said, why do I need that? I have a phone, works fine on the wall. My mom still has a phone on the wall, surprisingly. So, but a lot of people in industry, this product worked well for them. That was the start of the cell phone. The cell phone today is replacing laptops. It's really cool stuff, but the only way you're ever going to see that happen in the wearable display space is if you hit the Oakley gate, which is what our goal has been since all the way back in 1997, to hit that Oakley gate. How do you do that? You need a completely different kind of optic, and that is the stuff that Vuzix has been working on since 1997. And this lens, and if you hold it in the light just right, you probably can see there's these little holographic structures in the surface of it. This is the size of a pair of reading glasses, right? And what's cool is the display engines that drive them can be made smaller than a pencil. So all of this stuff, which has taken years to work, and some partnerships with companies like Nokia and the likes, is literally getting us to a point where we're going to be having these glasses coming out shortly.
Those are like Oakleys.
And what's cool is, when you look through these, that experience you saw with the SAP video where the guy's walking through the hallways and everything's augmented out in front of you, you'll be able to do that with these glasses on. So this is the Oakley gate, and Vuzix is not far from that. And part of the reason why Intel has invested in Vuzix is because of this technology. It's, you know, when you look at, you know, how do you replace the cell phone, which I believe this technology is going to replace the cell phone. Maybe not for everybody. Remember, my mom's got a phone still wired to the wall? But a lot of people will go for this because you can do things with it you've never done before. Just think about what happened to maps. You used to go to the 7-Eleven and buy a paper map. Then everybody learned about Yahoo Maps, right? So, hey, I can just go get my itinerary and print it, right? So, hang it right at the next street kind of thing, reading it off the paper. GPS came along, and people bought GPSs specifically to get around, and they finally got maps in them, and then the smartphone came along. And now you can just say, you know, where's XYZ, and it just comes up for you.
So you're saying these glasses would be able to put them on and know where to go?
Yeah, it's actually even cooler than that, because you'll ask them, where's the nearest ATM, and painted on a road in front of you, like the first down-yard line of the football game, will be an arrow going like this to help you get there. One of the students that's working with us is from NYU, down in the city, and they have done what they call a point cloud of the entire university. And with this point cloud in the university, you can put a pair of glasses on with a camera, or you can hold your phone up like this, and the camera, while it's running with the software running, can identify where it is in this point cloud representation of the school. And the thing I just described to you, where, you know, how do you get to Snell Hall? You can do that with the phone right now. It'll put an arrow on the sidewalk when you go like this to tell you, but that's not good enough. It's not personal. It's not intimate. What really got to be cool about tablets and your cell phone is you can touch the data. Well, the first time I did, I was like, holy moly, this is so cool. Because you could literally surf the web by touching practically icons and addresses and the likes. With this, you're going to take cloud-based information and put it in the world as if it belonged there. A lot of people say, oh, it's going to be a mess. It's not going to be a mess. I've seen videos that are a mess where they've got, like, you know, everybody's got a name tag over their head in here and everything, and it's like, oh.
Everybody's tagged.
That's crazy.
So we're going to touch our glasses?
You won't have to touch them.
No?
You'll talk to them. There'll be eye tracking systems built in. You will be able to go and reach out and touch the data in front of you if you want to. You'll be able to dial the phone just by, but even that's going to be kind of
Hopefully
weird.
Nobody's in front of you and you're touching somebody else. Watch out.
That's possible, I guess. But you could do things like this where you look down at your wrist, right? And instead of having an Apple Watch, you've got your virtual watch that are built into your glasses that you see on your wrist. And you could turn that into a dialer for your phone, so you just, and you dial the phone through this interface, which is not stupid. which is not reaching out in space. I think there's going to be lots of use cases where this is cool, though.
I know.
When you can
that's personal. Yeah.
You can take and mold a piece of clay and then go and put it in a printer, and out comes a part that you molded. I mean, anybody could be a designer with that kind of stuff. This video next actually will give you a
Do we have
feel.
time for another video?
It's short. It's
It's
short.
short. Yeah, we need
Okay.
some Q&A, so that's what we'll do next. We're going to have some time for Q&A, just so we have that. Go ahead, Paul.
This is a day in the life of a guy wearing smart glasses.
It's been a while and I've been alone, and you've been the only thing I've known. Born in the South, at home in the North, we could be anywhere you want.
Unlock doors.
Down where you grew up, I wish I had known you when we were young. You figured
Directions to Amsterdam Billiards, New York City.
waiting is just too much, so cover my skin.
There's a part that's coming up that's a little controversial, which, which we can talk about when it's done. Try that with your cell phone.
Hey, what can I get you?
I'll have a whiskey neat.
Oh, wow.
You don't have to be a Gemini, do you?
Wait, how did you know that?
No way.
Okay, she opted into that service, okay? That's not...
So listen, I gotta run, but we should get together later.
Sure, sounds good.
Not everybody has to be part of that. There's plenty of people that opt into all kinds of services like that, that if you're in that network of people and you're in the bar down in New York City, they'll tell you there's 6 people that are part of your network, and
Sure.
you know, and
Yeah.
so if you opt in this case it did appear like she didn't know what was going on though.
She knew. She opted in.
Yes.
Well, let's open it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
I got just a
Sure
picture,
thing,
picture.
absolutely.
We're here in Rochester, New York. We're moving into this new facility by the end of summer. We're staying in Rochester, New York. Yay. We're hiring.
This is out in Henrietta, right?
This is out in Henrietta. We do really cool stuff at Vuzix. We have clean room facilities, manufacturing that's high-end sort of stuff. And when it comes to the waveguide stuff, we have, the facilities are like going into a semiconductor fab. Thank you.
Yay. You're moving in when? End of summer?
I hope right at the end of September.
End of September, okay. Who's got?
5 minutes of questions.
Quick question. New glasses you're coming out with next week, after looking at them a little bit, right now in the drone market, on the amateur side, professional side, those glasses are about, would they be able to use within the drone concept? Will they plug in?
Absolutely. Those glasses have the ability to run wirelessly. They have HDMI inputs on them also. So if you buy the wireless module for it, you can stream directly from the drone, or you can stream from the controller. With the tracking system, with the camera system on the drone, you literally could turn your head and look as if you were steering the camera. And there are several companies that Vuzix is working with that want to be able to do exactly that. Those are applications that are going to come over time here through the next year or so, I would
The
suggest.
price you're quoting is 15% below market right now. How much more would the wireless attachment cost to make that work better?
We haven't publicized those kinds of things just yet, but I can give you a feel for it, though. I mean, you could just go buy Google Chrome for it if you wanted to, and I think it's $39 for Google Chrome. So Wi-Fi interfaces are not so expensive these days. Yes?
Yeah, I was at first wondering, how could you possibly be succeeding in Rochester? And what is it you're doing that allows you to survive? You're not in Silicon Valley. And then I realized at the very end, there's something about optics, and there's something special about Rochester. Could you comment on your optics and what innovations you might have there?
Yeah. Actually, Rochester is an amazing technology town. It's not just optics, although I will tell you, thanks to Xerox, Bausch & Lomb, the University of Rochester, RIT, it's a great place. You're right, though. There's a huge amount of competition on the West Coast. But buy a house on the West Coast, right? I mean, there's value propositions of being here. We have water, right?
It's huge.
So it's like anything, it's not perfect. I will say that the capital community in Rochester, in the West Coast, I think they understand more technology kinds of things, and so they get more into and excited about technology companies. It's a little more difficult in Rochester in that regard. But Vuzix has done it.
Sir?
I'd like to get a comment, what I'll call the difference between the Cadillac strategy and the Chevy strategy. It seems to me, have pursued the Cadillac strategy of building a high-end device that goes after enterprise customers. It's very sophisticated. Oculus comes along with what I call the Chevy strategy. Make it cheap, get it out there, and we'll build a product that way. Your thoughts on those two ways of going about building business?
If you really look at the Oculus solution, it's actually not that cheap. They put the specs out for the minimum computer system that's required to run an Oculus Rift, and it's between $1,500 and $2,000 just for the PC. And they only run on the PC. I'm not saying they're doing this wrong. The Oculus Rift is designed to do some pretty unique things. So good for them. Our ultimate goal, though, is the consumer marketplace. We want to replace the smartphone. And it won't be done just under Vuzix brand. I'd love to think we could be the next Apple. However, the wherewithal to do all of that is rather significant. But that's why we're building relationships with companies like Lenovo, like Intel, SAPs of the world. So we partner with people. And in some cases, you will see our technology going in the, I'm not sure I'd call it the Chevy. I mean, they're going to be really decent products, but they're going to be with partners like an Apple. And I'm not saying we have no relationship with Apple. I'm not going anywhere near that right now, okay? But there'll be quality products that will deliver at a consumer price point. That's our ultimate goal. Today, enterprise needs smart glasses. It's a great business, and Vuzix has been good at staying alive by figuring out how to sell products to make money.
Is your sales model 100% indirect or through the channel? And it sounds like partially, at least partially it is. And is it a sell for, is it a sell with, or is it a sell through your partners that you guys, or is it a mix?
There's kind of a mix of all of that. We have offices in Japan, offices in the UK. We sell through distribution and online in over 50 countries in the EMEA region. We have partners up and down the Pacific Rim. Lenovo has an exclusive for our M100, so they're our sales channel in China today. On the consumer side, it's more distribution and a direct sell through Vuzix. On the enterprise side, it's more of these partnerships.
Somebody had a...
Is there a sound component to this, or is it all primarily visual?
No, sound is a big piece of it. If you look at the video headphones, or the iWear 720 here, you put those babies on, man, and it sounds just fantastic. THX kind of stuff. So in these guys, it's easy. They're battery operated. You feed it HDMI video and audio, and it runs. These guys right here have an audio jack right here. When you wear these things, they talk to you. Welcome to work, Frank, kind of a thing. Franco, Frank.
Or Frank.
So You know, there definitely audio is a piece of almost everything that we do. There's an audio component to it.
You said these are on Android OS. Do you envision people like downloading apps to run on these things in the future?
We have an app store. We don't make a big deal out of it yet. There's probably 50 or 60 apps in it just yet. There's no paid apps yet, but there's a lot of partners that we have that are saying, when are you going to turn that on so that we can start using it? So yes, definitely.
So to follow up on this question, is that like an open API that other developers can develop off of, or?
Yes, and if you would like to write software for an M100, please stop and see me. I'll give you my business card. Scott over here, Mr. Wagner, he's the senior software engineer that's been responsible for all of the architecture, et cetera, in the M100. He's not a bad contact to hook you up with the right person, too.
Nice.
Yes.
Hardware is the long pole of deep dive technology. Software enables it to go into applications. On the revenue for these kinds of things that you've shown us, where does that stand? How much of it's hardware, how much of it is software, including the recurring, maintenance and monitoring?
This unit ships with a base set of capabilities. In fact, it's got 13 or so apps in it, right, Scott? And with that, you can do a whole bunch of stuff with it. The reason why we have an app store is we have some partners that don't have distribution. They don't have the sales network with them. And you will see our app store grow. So the revenues that will come in off of apps around this will grow. I will say, though, if you look at my financials team and the modeling right now, it's not a big component of what our expected revenues will be. Over time, you could probably see that changing.
But guys like UniMax, delivering software value add, they're commanding the higher revenue position with their relationship with the customer?
I think it depends. And I'd hate to quote prices from these guys. But, the value proposition here, right, you got a barcode scanner that's $2,500. So you got a $1,000 headset and a piece of software, and together they should be reasonably priced against that $2,500 gizmo.
Anybody up here? Okay, one more question.
On your new models, looking at what price point you're looking at and what time frame you're looking at. Best guess.
For the next model of this guy, the waveguide glasses, they're going to be consumer price point. That's as much as I can offer at this moment. We're going to be showing them and working with key partners before the end of this year with those glasses. CES should be a lot of fun. As I said, every year, CES is a big part of our game. So CES should be a lot of fun. And unless there's a meltdown for some reason, they're going to be shipping easily by this time next year. I'm sorry?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
What award, before we let Richard take this back, what kind of awards have you won?
From Best in Show,
Oh.
which was these guys. And in fact, I think maybe to the chagrin of Google, because it really got a lot of attention. It was right about when they were first starting to
Google.
get their stuff going. And so that was really good, to the most innovative for mobile devices to the best entertainment product categories, those kinds of things.
Wonderful.
If you come into our office, there's a wall.
All your awards.
Yes.
That's where there should be. Excellent. So you don't have to have them at home. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you, Paul. Paul Travers.